Happy Thursday, right? It's Thursday, June 18th, 2020, and this is Wesley's daily Bible reading for today. Today, I'm going to look at Jeremiah 18, 12 through 17, and we're going to talk about this impossible reality that God is confronted with in this text, that he's speaking out about through the prophet Jeremiah. Have you ever heard people be so shocked by something, something that happens, and they're like, have you ever heard of anything like that before? They'll ask each other questions like that. There's been a lot of that going around lately. It's kind of like, well, that's completely out of the ordinary. That's not normal. That shouldn't happen. And that's the question God is asking through the prophet Jeremiah right now in response to the idolatry of the people of Israel. And so the text says, who has heard the like of this? And it's basically this idea that this stuff just doesn't happen. This shouldn't happen. This is, basically it's like the world stopped working. And he talks about, how he takes things that are part of their world that are always part of the world, that suddenly if they went missing, people would know something was terribly wrong. And, he says, it's like the snow left the top of the mountains in Lebanon, or that, all the mountain streams just suddenly ran dry. He's like, this stuff just doesn't happen. This is how unusual this is. But the thing he's talking about specifically is that his people have forgotten him. And he says they've forgotten me, and they've forgotten me, and they are now burning offers to a delusion, right? They're offering sacrifices to false gods, but maybe not just that. Maybe he's not specifically even just talking about idolatry in the case of, graven images and things like that. I wonder if there's not a clue in the word delusion there. They're offering up, sacrifices to a delusion. They've forgotten me, and they've run after something else. It's interesting because it goes on and it says, as they've done that, they've gone after this delusion, and he says they've stumbled in their ways down ancient roads. So they've gone back to something. They've gone back down roads that they shouldn't be on. He says, they've left the highway for the byways. And so, in other words, they've left the path that I set them on. They've left the guidance that I gave them and the direction that I gave them, and they've decided to go their own way and go back to the things that they used to be about. Go back to the things that they were interested in, or they go back to the gods that they wanted to. And then it's interesting because he says that even the land itself has paid a price for their delusion, right? It says they've gone and they've made their land a horror, a thing to be hissed at forever, and all who pass by it are horrified and shake their heads. And so they've gone back to the way they were before before God called them. They've given up following God and to follow some kind of delusion, and even the land has paid the penalty. And so what is it? Well, if you look at the very beginning of this section, in verse 12, you get an idea of what's going on. We're told that the people of Israel say, it's no use. And what this is about, it's about the cost of Israel's stubbornness, right? It says, it's no use, we will follow our own plans, and each of us will act according to the stubbornness of our evil will. So we'll follow our own plans. In other words, we're not going to follow the way that God has shown us, right? We're not going to listen to God anymore. We're not going to follow the path that he set us on. We're just going to do what we want to do. Each of us will act according to the stubbornness of our own will, our own evil will. And so, this passage is about the fact that our stubbornness has a cost. You can be, stubborn and pay the price for it, but in the biblical sense, it's never just you that pays the price for your stubbornness. Stubbornness has a cost. Stubbornness impacts those around you. Your desire to run after your own delusion can not just cost you, but it can cost everyone else as well, and it can cost creation. Your unwillingness to listen to what it is that God has told us about how we should be in the world. So stubbornness has its cost. Rejecting God for the sake of our own will, for the delusion that we're in control and that we exercise all power in all things. It's not just us who suffers. It can cause a lot of people to suffer. Anyway, that's the impossible reality that God is speaking against. And have you ever heard of a thing like that? Anyway, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Boop.